I'll read the opening announcement. Adequate public notice of this meeting was provided by the Secretary of the Board of Education on February 10, 2023 to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger and the Clerk of the City of New Brunswick. The time and location of this meeting and all meetings of this body are posted in City Hall, 78 Bayard Street, New Brunswick. Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno. Here. Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Here.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Here.
Mrs. Seawood.
Here.
Mrs. Solis.
Here.
Mr. Spencer.
Present.
Ms. Varela. Ms. Sevilla. Dr. Caldwell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Please rise for the flag salute. Dr. Johnson will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reminder, the preliminary budget meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, beginning at 6 p.m. here at the high school in the auditorium. The public hearing on budget presentation will be held on Tuesday, March 28, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. during the regular Board of Education meeting at New Brunswick High School in the auditorium. So we have a presentation. I'll turn it over to Dr. Johnson, but I wanted to just to let you know, I saw that and received this, that some of these flyers are being given out about an item which was item F on our agenda. And so we did some research, and we want to thank you for actually sending emails. A lot of the work happens before the board meeting, so it's been pulled from our agenda. So we've done research, and thank you for your help and support. We've pulled it from our agenda, so you know that as we go forward. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Johnson.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. In honor of February being Black History Month, we are pleased to have two of our students present their own original poems this evening. As many famous Black poets before them, such as Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, and Amari Baraka, our students continue to share their perspectives, hopes, and voice with the world in order to make it a better, more empathetic place. Please welcome Julian Nicholas, an 11th grader from New Brunswick High School, reading his poem, The Man Who Can, followed by Genesis Tacho Rodriguez, an 8th grade gifted and talented student from Lincoln Annex Elementary School, who will be reading Chains in honor of Black History Month.
I am a man. Dark skin, wide nose, textured hair, heavy lips. I am a man whose words have more power and strength than the crack of a whip, whose struggles are finally unleashed. So what will your history be? A past littered with mental anguish and despair. Darkness, hopeless, helpless. The thoughts still creep and fester in our minds. It tries to feed as immense defeat and the excuse to keep ourselves down. Like if we kept quiet, silence would be the new sound. Resilience, persistence, acceptance. That is new power. Be happy that you are still alive and cherish your existence every day, minute, and hour. An existence that will always be extraordinary and unique, no longer entrapped in mental bondage. Finally free. Let people throw the stones of cruelty and poison. Watch them try to hurt you, to give you grueling lacerations and lesions. These pains will pass because we just rewrote history. So let those words of hate and vitriol roll from their tongues. Because my brothers and sisters, you will always show them who is wrong. You will not let them or let their words hold you back. You will never let their doubt steer you off track. Do not let their sayings be the reasons to have dismay and to grieve. Let their words be reasons why you will never stop and continue to believe. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you can do. But remember, the making of history relies on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Chains, these same ones that held you back for hundreds of years. You and your ancestors held back from liberty that already belonged to you, but you weren't allowed to have. The little, the young, the old, suffering, their eyes full of sorrow. Your long days of work and the restless nights, the beatings and the whippings on your backs. But still, through all of that, you smiled, you sang. Those were the songs that carried you on through those beatings, through all of that pain. Those songs that tucked you in at night and whispered, it'll all come together in time. You'll be fine. Those songs were the ones that lifted you up in your darkest moments. Those songs that screamed, I will survive. And you survived. Yes, you did. You lived, you moved on. You broke these chains that held you back. You screamed, I am free, into the ever-moving wind. You stood up for your liberty, your life, and your pursuit of happiness. You lived your freedom that had always been yours, but had been taken from you, snatched from your hands. Your hands, which are no longer tied down by those chains. Your hands that now flow with the wind in a moonlit sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I just want to take a couple moments just to reflect. And first off, to thank Julian Nichols. He's in 11th grade, another grader here at the high school. And to Janice Tacho Rodriguez, who's an 8th grader at our Gifted and Talented program. I just want to thank you for coming out and sharing your beliefs, your wisdom with us. This is something that we have to not forget. It's something that we have to understand that for some reason there seems to be a whitewashing of the Black experience across some parts of this nation. I'll just read my part, and then we can go into minutes. Since the formal establishment of Black History Month in 1976, each February has been a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the contributions people of color have made to our nation. For those of us charged with providing young people with the educational insight, it's always a valuable teaching moment. Understanding the lesson of Black history alongside what the present is teaching us should embolden our commitment to recognize and disrupt systems that perpetuate inequalities
that negatively impact people of color. Black History Month is not about presenting a single story or a select few, but about opening the door of intellectual curiosity to expose all to the many facets of the Black experience. Of course, it's also essential to keep in mind that Februaries are not exclusively for looking backward in time. Black History Month is every bit as much as about looking ahead as we prepare our children, as we prepare our current students for eventually making their own essential contributions to history. Again, thank you so much for your insights.
Really appreciate that. And to our young people, fantastic. What amazing words. Moving on to item number 4, the minutes, January 24th minutes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno? Yes. Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer? Yes. Ms. Sevilla?
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, the superintendent's report. Dr. Aubrey A. Johnson.
Yes, thank you. For the month of February, we have enrolled 9,642 students. In the month of January, there were 5 cases of confirmed cases of HIV. We had 182 suspensions in the month of January. Our staff attendance is at 94% and student attendance is at 91% for the month of January. Also, there were 95 positive COVID cases for employees and 121 positive cases for students. I would just like to share a few of our highlights. On February 7th, we held a ribbon cutting ceremony at McKinley Community School in celebration of the completion of their Verizon Innovative Learning Lab. This was our second ribbon cutting ceremony. Our first ceremony was held January 20th in celebration of the Verizon Innovation Learning Lab at the New Brunswick Middle School. Once again, we want to thank Verizon, to Heart of America, to Arizona State University J. Orvin Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute for all their dedication and time to this project at no cost to the district. Also on Saturday, February 11th, through our continued partnership with the New Jersey Black Women Physician Association, New Brunswick Tomorrow, and Middlesex County Health Department, we hosted another vaccine and flu clinic at Red Shore School. First doses, second doses, and boosters were available to students, parents, and staff. Flu vaccines and lead screening were also available. In total, we administered 32 COVID vaccines and 14 flu vaccines, and 4 lead screenings were done. 30 individuals who received their COVID vaccine received a $25 gift card. Again, we want to thank all of our community partners, testing labs, and pharmacies who partnered with the district to make testing and vaccination available to all staff and families. Our next COVID vaccine clinic is scheduled for Saturday, March 11th. On Thursday, February 23rd, the district hosted its first in-person job fair of the year. We had 23 attendees, of which 14 were recommended for second round interviews. Our next job fair is scheduled for March 16th and May 4th for all district positions. We want to thank our administrators for their consistent support in recruiting and hiring and the assistance during this successful job fair. Anyone who's interested, please visit our district social media platforms, our Twitter, Facebook, and website, district website, for more information. Lastly, across our country and state and nation, school districts are focused on the challenge of moving beyond the disruption of the pandemic. Just a few weeks ago, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention issued a report an unprecedented levels of sadness among our U.S. teens. Certainly, New Brunswick Public Schools is no exception. We have faced our shares of difficulties. Yet, our emphasis is not to make excuses, but to be fixed on solutions and the reestablishment of positive norms within and outside of our schools. To that end, I'm formally announcing the beginning of an initiative that will primarily be directed toward our district high school and our middle school grades. Beginning immediately, we'll establish a comprehensive all-in-for New Brunswick task force to address what I view as an unsettled mood within our schools and community. The task force will be composed of students, parents, district faculty, staff, administrators, board members, faith-based community leaders, police officers, and others who are aligned with our mission to collaborate and create a nurturing environment that will provide our students the tools they need to be successful. We have begun some of this work, and I've met with groups that include students, teachers, administrators, parents, and faith-based organizations within our community. And I'm looking forward to my next meeting with fathers across the district. So far, our conversations have been around topics of safety within our schools, which is paramount. Building stronger relationships between parents, teachers, and administrators. We have discussed the impact of social media on our students' well-being and its segue to be used for bullying and recording inappropriate behaviors to gain followers, to gain likes, to gain retweets. Also, we're experiencing the undetected marijuana edibles within our schools and communities, and more so the availability, the easy availability of these substances and vapes within our community. I'm eager to establish this comprehensive all-in for New Brunswick task force to build a sustainable strategy or strategies to improve the relationships and lives of our children. I truly believe that we can accomplish this by working together. And to close on a different topic, Dr. Caldwell, I want to congratulate you for being appointed the 15th president of Centenary University. Congratulations. That concludes my reports.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, as you know, my dad, marched arm in arm with Dr. King, and what Dr. King would say about what she said is, you're creating the beloved community. He called it the beloved community, where folks love each other, where they don't judge each other, where they come together, where they're supportive. What you described is exactly that. So thank you for doing that, and it's so needed, and it's not just the school district, it's the community. It's everybody, and so that's, Dr. Johnson, thank you. That's wonderful. Is there a motion to accept the superintendent's report?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno? Yes. Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz?
Oh, I love that, that's right.
Mrs. Seawood?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Spencer? Yes. Sevilla?
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes,
Motion approved.
thank you, Mr. General. Item number 6, our student representative report. David Aragon. David.
Good evening. Multiple classes/groups participating in the School Day of Nonviolence and Peace. Congratulations to Ms. Baza's health class, winner of the Most Creative Project Award, and Mr. Berger's Alliance Club, winner of the Best Poster Award for their amazing entries. Both groups were awarded with a pizza party last week. The Wise Center Student Voices Focus Group had their first meeting this month. The focus group will be made of a diverse group of students who represent the various backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences of our school community. The Peer Leadership Program held its application process for the 2023-2024 school year. The NBHS Peer Leadership Program trains seniors students to assist freshmen in making the transition into the high school. Throughout the year, peer leaders work in co-leader pairs and serve as a group discussion and serve as group discussion leaders and positive role models for the younger peers. Students who are interested in becoming peer leaders will apply to the program and go through a holistic interview process where we consider their academic, social, emotional, and extracurricular development. On February 10th, the high school held its first Winter Pep Rally, in which I had the honor of emceeing with my colleague, Brian Funes. An elevated experience from the Fall Pep Rally with competitive games within the classes, where seniors were declared victorious. Later that night, the high school held its Valentine's Day dance with over 200 attendees. And our student council held our Valentine's Day gram sales, selling over 1,200 roses and chocolate-covered pretzels, helping offset the costs associated with our school-wide pep rallies, prom, and leadership conferences. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for that comprehensive report. We appreciate it. Moving on to item number 7, the Facilities Committee report. Mr. Edward Spencer, Chairperson. Ed?
Yes, Mr. President. The Facility Committee met on February the 8th. We discussed the status of the high school gymnasium addition. The bids were within the project budget, and we are recommending to award the project to the low bid tonight. The project schedule has construction starting at the end of the school year. The project will take approximately 1 year. I will update you as we move forward. As you will see in the agenda, we have the fees for the bid, which come in around about $5,898. That's the bill, the bid for the New Brunswick School Board that we're going to vote on tonight, as I mentioned. We reviewed survey data related to our transition from our previous facilities management software to our current product. The survey data was targeted at multiple user groups that use the software in general. The feedback was mostly positive with very little negative feedback. We opened 4 new playgrounds this year. Earlier this year, we opened playgrounds in Lincoln, Livingston School. This month, we complete playgrounds at Lord Sterling and Roosevelt School. We will continue to explore the possibility of additional playground projects at some of our other schools. Regarding the Blanquita Valente Community School, Atlantic Engineering is continuing to provide quality control testing and inspection services for the brick and mortar work. Approximately 75% of permanent windows are now in place. Approximately 90% of the interior wall framing is completed, and gypsum wall board continues to be installed throughout the building. Electrical and plumbing work is progressing on schedule. Temporary heating has started. Allow painting and hydrostatic testing of water piping to continue. We have paid $30.4 million to date. An additional $3.3 million has been invoiced for $33.4 million in total to date. We remain on schedule for a completion date of August 2023. That, Mr. President, concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer, for that report. Moving on to item number 8, the Athletic Committee report. Mr. Adorno.
Thank you, Mr. President. The winter season has just about wrapped up. It will conclude this Sunday at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Center in Staten Island for the Meet of Champions for track and field. Josh Nazario will represent New Brunswick in the shot put. He qualified for the meet, being number 15 in the state with a throw of 50 feet 11 inches. Boys and girls basketball look to the future of their programs and continue to improve. Both programs are bringing back all but one starter combined between the two programs. Wrestling finished with a record of 12-15. Senior Yasir Johnson, who earlier this month committed to Assumption University on a full football scholarship, placed first in the district tournament. He wrestled hard in the regional tournament where his season came to an end. Spring sports signups have begun, with already 238 athletes signed up, including, for the first time ever, 22 athletes in girls flag football. The spring season is still 2 weeks away, and we look to improve our registration from 2022 of 290. First practices will begin March 16th, and opening day for games will be April 3rd. That concludes my report, and I need a reconciliation on January's report.
Is there a motion to accept the report, the athletic? Second.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Adorno?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla?
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes,
Motion approved.
thank you. Moving on to item number 9, the Curriculum Policy Committee report. Mrs. Emra L. Seawood, Chairperson.
To the President and the board members, the Curriculum and Policy Committees met on February 22nd. We had 2 presentations. The first was on the WISE program. WISE is an acronym for Wellness, Intervention, Student Empowerment. This presentation was presented by Dr. Ford and Mrs. Shetty. The WISE team aims to assist students, staff, caregivers, and the whole school community to access appropriate mental health resources within our schools, as well as link our students to services in the community to support their social, emotional needs and build capacity for resilience. The goals of mental health services for students include provide a culturally responsive, multi-tiered system of support for all students, and implement targeted strategies with individualized goals to help address at-risk and high-need students. The second presentation, we had a discussion regarding alternative placement options. The overall goal is to provide students with an equitable, effective alternative placement and build and sustain relationships with them, while providing students with the opportunity to access the resources that they need in order to be successful with an overall end goal to transition back to their home school. This will include an individualized plan as well as additional support services for our students. We also want to remind everyone of the many district newsletters that are posted on our website. And we ask that you visit the website so that you can stay abreast of all the many resources that we have available. On February 16th, we want to commend the our music department, the district's first all-city music festival began. This was for students in grades 4 through 12. The students auditioned and performed in a district-wide concert, and they were very good. This included the orchestra, this included choral music, and I think we had a dance number too. Yeah, so it was very good. And participation has certainly increased over the years. We did take a look at most of the resolutions, and they are included on the consent agenda. There was one that we did not approve, but it was listed on the draft agenda that has been removed. So all other resolutions were reviewed and approved, and we recommend that they be accepted. There were no policies or regulations for approval this go around. So get ready for next month, because we'll probably have 1,000 the state will send out. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Seawood. That's our report. Moving on to item number 10, the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey report. As you know, Mark Finkelstein used to be the president of this board and the superintendent at the ESC&J for over 30 years, is retiring in June. And we're going through the process of doing a national search for the next superintendent, and the applications were due. Today is the deadline. So we'll be going through that process to identify the next superintendent of the ESC&J. With that, moving on to item number 11, a couple things. We have 14 people who signed up, so clearly we have a process where you sign up 24 hours in advance, so obviously that works. There was some question too that if somebody for some reason isn't able to sign but wants to speak, we do want to hear their voice if there's a legitimate reason why. And so what we're asking is, if someone tells the guard, who will tell one of our people to go up and explain why they want to speak, even though they didn't sign according to our policy, then we'll make a decision whether to let you speak or not. But one of the things we will not accept is people yelling from the crowd. And so, yelling, I know to speak, I want to speak. So there's a process of letting one of our security folks know. They will contact us. We will hear your case as to why you want to speak and you couldn't sign up, and then I'll make the decision whether to hear. Tonight we have 14 people at 3 minutes a person. Rich, who signed up first?
The first person I'll call to the microphone is Yenny Mendez.
Yes, if you could walk up to the mic and state your name and address. That'll help you get there. Thanks for coming out.
My name is Yanni Mendez. I'm a parent of a high school student. My address is 271 Paul Robeson Boulevard, New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm here for the first time. I'm a new resident. I was a student in New Brunswick schools. And what I would like to question is, how do we invite more parents to attend these meetings? As to there's 9,000 students approximately, and there's only about 10 to 14 parents today. Are these invitations being sent out in Spanish? Because from what I've heard from different parents is that they have little to no access to emails, or these invitations are going out in English, and most, I would definitely say 90 to 80% speak Spanish only.
Thank you again for coming out, and thank you for that concern. I apologize, I had to move that because I couldn't see you. Rich, do you want to talk about, we are, I think, more than 2 languages that we're out. We have regular monthly board meetings. We want to make sure that as many people can come out as possible. The one thing that I would say, and this was a perfect example of the item that was taken off, is a lot of the business happens before the board meeting. And so we were doing our own research, we got some emails from folks about that item on the agenda, and that was very, very helpful. So we encourage as many people to come out, but it's important to understand that if there's a particular issue, there's a process. Go to the principal. If the principal can't resolve it, then go to the superintendent. If the superintendent can't resolve it, then come before the board. And so we want to work with everybody, and we want as many people here as possible. So we're trying to reach out. We have PTAs, we have other groups that we're trying to get the word out. So I hope that's better. Thank you for that concern.
Okay, do I still have a minute? Oh.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I also wanted to ask questions about the adult who entered our schools. Is there, what process is being taken after that situations in our school? And are students also being approached where they know that the school system is taking precautions, and what are they?
Thank you. As we all know, or we may not know, the incident is still under investigation. However, I do want to say that we are really grateful for our team in New Brunswick. The situation was not good, but we were able to identify the incident within 3 days, and it was brought to our attention as soon as possible. What we have done so far is that we have taken a look at all of the registrants and all of pending documentations within the district. We took a look at that. Moving forward, we want to provide additional professional development to our staff to try to identify misleading documentations on what they may look like. With technology, things do look real. So how can we better look for false documents or falsifications? So we want to take a look at that and see what we can work with. We reached out to the county to see what supports they have as well. However, you know, we are working under Code NJ 6822, which prohibits us from borrowing anyone from enrolling in a district without proper documentations. And that's a bigger conversation at the state level, and I want to believe that conversation has started. So, in brief, to answer your question, we are vetting documents, we're looking at documents, and we are going to provide appropriate training. I do want, and I do feel, it's important, you're 100% right. Our students do need to feel safe, and if they don't feel safe, I want to assure you that we believe there are, but we definitely understand how this incident can make those feelings. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Rich, who's number 2? Mr. General.
Beth Rubin.
Welcome. Could you say your name and address?
Sure, thank you. I'm Beth Rubin. I'm not a New Brunswick resident. I live Montclair, New Jersey, but I work at 10 Seminary Place, New Brunswick, at the Graduate School of Education at Rutgers University, where I'm a professor of education and chair of the Department of Educational Theory, Policy, and Administration, and program coordinator of the program in Social Studies Education. And I've come here this evening to share some information about the ongoing collaborations between the New Brunswick Public Schools and the Rutgers Graduate School of Education, and to publicly thank the district and its leadership for their partnership over many years. At the Graduate School of Education, we prepare new teachers for the opportunities and challenges of today's classrooms, and we collaborate with a small number of districts so that we can have clear communication and meaningful partnership with those districts. And the New Brunswick Public School District has been our outstanding committed partner in this endeavor for many years, hosting and mentoring our students and participating actively in our advisory council, where we seek counsel from school experts on the training of teachers. We send students to the district who are preparing to be elementary teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers in math, science, English, language, social studies to the New Brunswick Public Schools, where they're greeted with enthusiasm and kindness and support. Because of our partnership, we frequently turn to the New Brunswick Public Schools with programs and opportunities for students and educators. And I'll just describe a couple of these. So the Community Engaged Anti-Racist Teaching Project involved educators in creating innovative curriculum at the elementary level, providing hours of professional development benefiting New Brunswick students. And I personally have had the privilege of running the Civically Engaged District Project, in which I've collaborated for many years with New Brunswick, supporting clubs in which young people conduct research on issues of concern to them, and then have the opportunity to come and visit Rutgers and spend a day on campus and present their work. I've watched many groups of students as they share their findings with educators and leaders in the district, and watched as they are listened to respectfully and responded to with care. And it's been a real pleasure. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the district for their deep commitment to their students, to the principles of equity and social justice, and to the aim of improving lives through access to transformational educational experiences. We really couldn't ask for a better neighbor and partner, so thank you.
Thank you. And you finished with 1 second left. That's perfect. That's perfect. And I will say, as I become a university president, the relationship between Rutgers and New Brunswick is a wonderful model of what higher ed needs to do. It needs to really be more in the community, more involved and not so insular. And so just thank you and thank everyone at Rutgers and Dr. Johnson and our team here. I really think it's just a model of how a university and a public school district can work closely together. So thank you. Very, very nice. Mr. General, who's next?
Carlos Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez, are you here?
Yes.
Good evening. If you could say your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, board members. Carlos Ramirez, reporter, New Brunswick Today. I would like to start by asking, when did the board stop paying David Holmes, the Woodrow Wilson teacher who pleaded guilty to endangering the welfare of a child? He was suspended without pay in 2019 and pleaded guilty.
We don't talk about personnel issues publicly.
Okay, I also wanted to ask, Mr. Collier, are you running again?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much. Mr. General, who's next?
Anna Martinez.
Anna Martinez. Are you here? Welcome, good evening. The mic's over here. Good evening, Ms. Martinez. You can state your name and address, please.
Buenas noches y disculpe tal vez sea lo vean como mala educación. Mi nombre ya lo tienen, Ana Martínez, y mi dirección ha de estar en el correo, no sé cómo me llamo. Lastimosamente para mí, yo no entiendo eso de correos, y como madre de familia de estas escuelas en New Brunswick, me encuentro en esa situación como muchos padres, por lo mismo que no asisten a las juntas por el idioma y el tratar de que ustedes nos entiendan y darnos a entender.
Good evening. So she's saying as a mother that she has like a lot of concerns about her children here in district, but she's not very tech savvy. She doesn't really know how to utilize the email. So she's saying because of the language barrier, it's very difficult to keep abreast of what's going on in the district.
Estoy preocupada por la inseguridad en las escuelas en nuestro estado de New Jersey. Queremos saber cómo ustedes piensan controlar dentro y fuera de ella, especialmente en las escuelas aquí en New Brunswick, Y lastimosamente pues es muy poco el tiempo que ustedes nos dan, que son 3 minutos, entonces ustedes saben que somos pocos los padres que asistimos, ustedes son estudiados e inteligentes, pudiéndonos dar más tiempo si ustedes saben que somos pocos padres los que acudimos a ustedes.
She's saying that there's usually not many parents who come, and she would like to voice her concerns, and she wants to know why the time is down to 3 minutes. So she said, you know, she's like, she needs more time to express what's going on. She's like, we're not many parents that come. We would like more time to speak on the microphone.
Y al convivir aquí con mi comunidad, he visto esa inseguridad que tienen hacia nuestros estudiantes, que es el futuro que va a quedar aquí.
She says she's also very concerned about the safety of the children here in school, and that.
Nada más y esperemos tengamos alguna respuesta. Gracias.
She says she's hoping for an answer.
Thank you. Gracias. So, a couple things. One, as I mentioned before, and please translate, the action of this board, we are a policy-making board. Coming to the meeting talking for 10, 15, 20 minutes is not going to change things. If there are specific things, we need to know about them in advance so that we can make decisions as we did on the one item we took off. So I think there's a misnomer out there that coming to the board meeting, speaking for 3 minutes or 4 minutes is actually going to really force an action. You know, we want to hear from you, and everybody that I've been on the board 23 years, I've never heard anyone who needed more than 3 minutes to get their point across. And so that is very important. But if there are particular concerns, and we heard a concern too, that not enough parents know about the meeting, so maybe through our PTAs, through other things, we can try to do something. That's a very, very important concern. But there has never been a reason as to why 3 minutes is not enough time, other than some people who just want the attention. We're focused on making a difference here. We're not focused on trying to be a public spectacle. So, Mr. General, who's next?
Sure, Ms. Hadley, translate to that parent, please.
Yes.
She is?
Yes. Could you translate to her?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Mr. General.
Linda Stork.
Ms. Stork, good evening.
Good evening, my name is Linda Stork. I live at 12 Park Boulevard. And I would like to think that when I had 5 minutes, I didn't make a spectacle of myself. I used the 5 minutes for legitimate concerns, so I'm going to talk really fast. I have a question about also just the whole idea that we would access the agenda is never available. I mean, it comes out the day of, am I correct? So that's asking a lot for people to access it the same day and then do the research and then email their concerns. It would be the day of, or it would be here.
The agenda, upon request, is sent out, and people do request it in advance of the meeting.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
The agenda is normally posted Monday mornings around by 10 a.m. on the website before the board meeting.
Okay, that's still not really time for people to really do the research, which apparently you had not done either on this, professional development you were ready to accept. Thank goodness other people did catch that. I was looking at the idea that, first of all, about an adult being able to enter the schools. To me, that comes back to that centralized registration and the new executive position that was created and a person hired at a substantial salary to do centralized registration. I will say again, the way that works in other districts where I've helped people register is that you go to a centralized place and register, so you would have one team of people instead of trying to reach everybody in the district. You said you're going to do professional development about how to catch false documents. You could just have one centralized team that makes sure nobody gets through that's not a legitimate student age or student. That would seem to me to be the solution, to not have it be so disorganized and all over the place and confusing for parents and staff who are trying to do other things. In addition, I'm concerned about all the money that's going out for, well, a gym, first of all, with COVID money, when we have so many children who are behind in their basic subjects through the pandemic. They are traumatized, they have emotional needs, mental health needs. There's all kinds of things going on that are related to the pandemic that we could use money for, besides a gym. A new audio system in Paul Robeson for $142,000. Encore systems for Ed, a student info system for $241,000.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Starr. Thank you for your concern. I'd like to address one issue that you mentioned. As a public school, we have to register people who come to us. And so, you know, this national story was actually a point of pride. We can't turn someone away because we think they look a certain way. I mean, again, as an African American, I resent even some implication of that. That the person, and in 3 days, the individual was identified, which is actually incredible that someone was identified as an adult coming to the school. But as a public school, we have to accept folks until proven otherwise. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Well, my time was enough.
Yeah, it was up. It was up. I gave you some extra time. Mr. Genero?
April Nicholas.
Hey, Ms. Nicholas, please come in. Ms. Stark, you're taking other people's time. Thank you.
No, I am not. Why would you even say that?
Because you've gone over your time.
That tells you 3 minutes is not enough.
If you could state your name and address.
Yes, hello, my name is April Nicklaus. My address is 143 Sedan Street. So I have quite a few things that I've heard during this meeting that are confusing or concerning to me. The first that I want to address is some inconsistencies, in my view, in what you've expressed as your intentions versus the policies and actions of the board. So what you have said is that you really want as many people as possible to come out to these meetings, and you encourage any action that will enable public participation, but then you do have this 24-hour advanced pre-registration policy, and you've stated that there is a process and that is the process, and if people want to, you know, beg the security guard for an exception so that they're allowed to speak, then they can do that. But I have not heard you provide any explanation or justification for why that is the process that you've chosen. And I know that was not always the policy of this board. I did look it up on your website and your policy and regulations database and saw that it was updated in 2021. So the board has operated without that 24-hour advanced registration policy before. And in every other public meeting that I've been to for every other government entity, that has not been a requirement. And so what I would like to know is, why do you feel that is necessary? What justification can you provide to all of us for placing that restriction on public comment?
Well, two things. One, I'd like to answer. One, we had 14 people sign up 24 hours in advance. So 14 people being able to sign up is an indication of the policy. In addition, I've been president of the Educational Services Commission for 21 years, and that's been our policy, and it's worked extraordinarily well for 21 years. And as we said, if there is an extension and extenuating circumstance, we have a process by which someone can speak. So it's been proven in other districts and so on to be an effective process. That's why we're doing it.
Well, you have provided a view that you think it's working well for you. I would say that 14 people at a public meeting for such a large school district and where so many people have concerns to share is not very many people. And I know for a fact that there were quite a few people who were here at the last meeting who were extremely concerned about this adult that had access to the high school and who were specifically barred from speaking because of this 24-hour advanced registration policy, even though the information about this adult entering our schools was not available to the public or to the student body 24 hours in advance. So it was literally not possible for them to follow the rules that you set out. And they did make it clear that they wanted to speak, and they were not granted any extenuating circumstances, which is what you seem to be providing as an option or justification. So it's still not clear to me what justification you have for this policy or why it would work well for the public and not just for the board.
As I said, it's worked well, and a wide variety actually do work in school districts across the country, and this is not an unusual policy. So, and also, as I said, we would have granted if folks had spoken to someone and said, we'd like to speak, but I didn't know, were people yelling from the ground? I can't hear what people are yelling here on the podium. So thank you so much for your concerns, and thanks for coming.
I find that to be a very disingenuous reply, and I hope to have a better answer to that question in the future.
Thank you. Have a good night. Mr. General.
Charlie Credible. Not available at the moment.
Okay. Who's next?
Nishad Dita.
What's the name?
Nishad Dita.
Michelle? You here? Well, we'll move on. Who's next?
Robert Vasquez Bentoncourt.
Mr. Vasquez Bentoncourt. Welcome. Good evening.
Sorry. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Robert Vasquez, student at New Brunswick High School. I want to come and say thank you to everyone who listened to the students. After the incident with the 29-year-old woman, students went out and protested for a better, safer school. Weeks later, the New Brunswick High School established the Student Voice Group and the Event to Prevent program, which allows students to develop ways to combat the violence and issues here in New Brunswick High School. And I have to say that I'm involved with both because I care about our community and I encourage my fellow students to join. The reason why we protested was because we wanted to be heard. The day before the protest, we had an unfortunate incident where students were denied to speak at the last board meeting, which is unacceptable. The whole rule of the 24-hour sign-up is ridiculous and should be appealed. Students and parents deserve to speak without a wall shielding them to speak. If the city council allows us to speak without the need to sign up, why can't the Board of Education do the same thing? And I look forward to working with everyone to make sure New Brunswick High School becomes a safer and better school for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your participation in the school group. We appreciate that. As I said, there was no denial. No one approached me to say that we wanted to speak. So no one was denied being an opportunity to speak, and we have a process. So it's important. When people are yelling and screaming, we can't hear what's going on. So anyone who said that there was an intentional denial of speaking really was not aware of what was going on last time. So I think that's important to state. Mr. Darrow, who's next?
Yolanda Hernandez.
Good evening, Yolanda. Welcome.
Good evening. I need to hear you, please. Just I want to start. If you mentioned many times the PTOs, if you running for I don't know how many years in this board, but let me tell you something. Parents, my kids go to school for 4 years, and the news is not good for the PTOs. The PTOs in the schools mostly is not working. And that's the issue to want to talk about tonight. If you want to see that some parents come in these meetings, so the PTO is supposed to be running with us and the schools. I tried for 3 years to be part of the PTO, and they never give me a chance. So that's a bad experience for me. And the other thing that other members in the board say, and the social media, they have many resources for the parents. The parents, we don't know how to use social media. If you have a good person, but we don't know how we can open the person box. And I'm really sorry, my English is not well. But really, I see many directors, principals, and vice principals in this meeting. I want to tell them if it's necessary to work with the parents, and the parents don't feel comfort when they touch the bell and the door. Because the first answer is, who are you? What do you want? What do you be here? You have ID? So, that's my experience. Why am I here? My son is in for 6 hours. So that's the reason I want to know something. And they so very tough with us. And I have a very bad experience in the system. So, seriously, I tell my parents and the group, please come to the board member. And you say, don't come to speak for 3 minutes. If the administrations and each school, if they listen us, of course, we don't come to this place. Because definitely we need to do many things. And we leave everything to come at this time. Okay? So the other thing is, when I speak, is like la seguridad en las escuelas. La seguridad es algo súper importante y cada escuela debe tomar su responsabilidad porque tenemos muchos problemas, porque hay muchas personas que vienen a su trabajo y lo que pasan es estar atrás de la computadora viendo Facebook y viendo ofertas. Eso yo lo he visto. Y si nadie más lo ve, pues entonces sugiero que sean un poco más responsables en la destreza de su trabajo. La alimentación escolar, la responsabilidad de cada institución recae en la misma. Y si los padres debemos involucrarnos, ustedes nos deben tratar con respeto. Es lo menos que merecemos, dado que nuestros hijos son los estudiantes de sus instituciones. El bullying en la escuela es un tema muy serio, al cual solamente se mete debajo de la mesa. Thank you so much. Quiero
translator, so I know the security in the schools.
So she's concerned about the security in the school. She says that's important, that's paramount. She says that she believes that security sometimes doesn't take it seriously, that she sees them, they're like on their phones or they're on social media. That goes along with what she said, how they treat her when she comes into the school. What do you want? Where's your ID? Why are you here? She says that this is a responsibility that doesn't just fall on the school's head, it falls on everyone, and that bullying is also a big issue in the school that she feels is not being addressed.
Thank you very much. We're talking, but one of the things that and your English is very good, and the superintendent, is committed to this. You heard this in the thing, and so part of the problem, and this is why I say that, is that we say so many parents are engaged and they want stuff, but we're not getting letters to hear about this. The action comes from letters, not standing up in front of us here to say that. You've got to have, and if there's someone in the community to really help send a letter to the superintendent that this is happening. We don't feel welcome. We feel that we don't. That has to be communicated not at a board meeting, but before a board meeting. And then the board will respond to that. That's what I'm not doing a great job of saying, is that coming up here, speaking for 10 minutes isn't going to solve the problem. But actually letting folks know between meetings is how we can begin to act things, as we heard about the one supplier. So we are with you. We want to help. We want to support. But the board meeting is not the place to begin hearing about things for the first time. And so I thank you so much for coming up. I would encourage you to either write or work with somebody to write and let us know your concerns so that we can work with the superintendent to make sure that they're handled. So thank you very, very much. What? And any language, that we want a letter in any language. We can translate any language. So thank you very much. Mr. General.
Alexandria Harris.
Ms. Harris, welcome, good evening.
Good evening, Board of Education of New Brunswick and members of the public. So before I go on about the formal agenda item F, I also would like to highlight the previous comments from my peers and previous speakers. You have set up hurdles of accessibility and are breeding corporate politics and putting a nozzle on democracy. I kindly ask for you to remove the 24-hour sign-up period and post the agenda well ahead of time instead of sending them to subscribers to your list. Just because it's a normal policy does not make it okay. Just because women were once not allowed to vote, that does not make it okay. Just because in the US we once had slavery, that does not make it okay. Just because we're limiting the accessibility to attend and get information is not okay. I also would like to bring more attention to the former agenda item F. You did not ask for any public comment, and you did not do your due diligence to this consumer alert sent out by the Attorney General of the US about pregnancy crisis centers. It's abominable. How about we instruct our students about pregnancy risks and STI and STDs? We can implement peer-to-peer counselors or peer-to-peer instruction, have family night about learning, having this conversation. Coming from an immigrant family, I did not know what my period was. I thought I was pooping out from somewhere else where I was supposed to. I did not know about sex. That comes from also, that applies to a lot of kids. So instead of narrowing to this very restrictive and archaic mentality, you can build on the bones that you have. Create a space, a safe, interactive space. Have team-to-tier, peer-to-peer discussions. It's not, just because it's not the normal, doesn't mean that it's still not great. Increase the conversations that we have in our schools about consent to an earlier age, because the amount of kids that get sexually assaulted or molested is abominable as well. But the more education we have, the better awareness we have, the more we are prepared. Like everyone else here, we are prepared because we got that information, but it's hard to do that, especially when you're a child. Thank you.
I try to hold myself back on Black History Month. As the descendant of slaves, I found our plantation where we're from, and for you to insinuate that a 24-hour rule is similar to slavery or to, I mean, we have to wake up here. We have 14 people who signed up. Signing up 24 hours in advance does not stop dialogue. We're having dialogue. And we talked about a process in which individuals, if they have a compelling issue and they couldn't sign up, can still speak. And it's disgraceful to yell from the floor to say, I can't hear that. We have a process. You have the opportunity to speak. We're not stifling conversation. So if someone to come up here and really start to say this is the worst thing that ever happened is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. And I'm saying that as an African-American, a multi-generational African-American, that we need to start seeing what's really important. And your dialogue is actually right about the challenge. I have a daughter who just graduated from New Brunswick. About the safety of young girls, the safety when we're having that conversation here. So perhaps we need to learn a little more about the school district. For those of you who come up here and say these things aren't happening, you don't know what's going on. And so it's critical, and again, I try to be calm up here, but don't liken something to slavery. Disgraceful. On Black History Month Day. So I'd like to come and sit with you and talk about what it's like to feel what slavery is. I've just given a number of presentations about that. So with that, Mr. General, who's next?
I apologize if I say this incorrectly, but Yao Shu Hasu? Okay. And
Isabel. Is that, could you say your name and address?
Sure. It's actually Josue Espinoza.
oh yeah, I was just about to call you Josue.
Oh, I wasn't the one that you called.
No,
You thought you just pronounced that.
Okay, I did, so my apologies.
a different name, I wondered, but Josue Espinoza?
Okay, so my apologies to the other person. Good evening, everyone. Josue Espinoza, North Brunswick, Willow Avenue. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. As a proud alumni of the New Brunswick Public School System, it brings me great joy to stand before you today as a bilingual teacher. I have had the privilege of working my way up in the school district, starting as a substitute teacher, followed by paraprofessional, and now being able to inspire young bilingual minds every day. Last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, I was amazed by the incredible event that took place in this very room, where more than 250 students and 11 schools participated in the music festival. That is a true testament of the talent and creativity of our students, and it was an honor to be part of it. These type of events not only showcase the talents of our students and the very hard work of our teachers, but administrators that support them, but also it brings the community together. Well, this place was packed with parents and different community members. Speaking of bilingualism, I must highlight the dual program offered across the district. My very own niece is part of this program, and she has been in it since pre-K, and I was in 3rd grade. This program not only improves language skills, but it also enhances the cultural understanding and prepares the students for success. I want to emphasize also the unique, valuable bilingual program that we also offer in New Brunswick. Our district is one of the very few in the area that provides the students with the opportunity to learn in English and Spanish simultaneously. This program not only teaches the students the content, but it also allows them to maintain their primary language, which is an invaluable skill in our increasingly diverse and global society. It is a testament that our district's commitment to celebrating and promoting diversity and inclusivity in our community. I strongly believe that the bilingual program is a game changer for our students by providing them the competitive edge in the job market and higher education. I am proud to be part of a district that values bilingualism and multiculturalism, and I urge the board to continue providing the necessary resources to maintain and improve the bilingual program. Also, the New Brunswick offers a whole variety of clubs to the students, giving them the opportunity to explore and develop their passions. From the performing visual arts to skiing and sports, our students are exposed to a broad range of experience that prepare them for success in the real world. Almost done. I urge the board to continue providing opportunities and funding for these programs that promote creativity, critical thinking, and innovation. It is essential that we invest in our students' futures as they are the leaders of tomorrow. Let us continue to work together to create an inclusive and supportive environment where our students can thrive and achieve their fullest potential. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, very well said. Really appreciate that. Mr. General, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for your comments. Moving on to item number 12. You know, one of the things, I have the opportunity to do a lot of superintendent searches around the country. I was just in Columbus, we were in Florida, we're actually Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was going to go to Omaha Friday to really work with a whole bunch of different school districts. One of the things that is really happening, more so than in my lifetime, is the politicization of boards of education. That what's happening is that people are coming to governors are making policies that deny teaching Black history. We have people from the community that are trying to do things so they can get elected or they can change the agenda. You know, we're in this together. We're in the midst of a crisis. We've come out of a pandemic. There are social, emotional issues that are happening with young people. And we sit here and we're complaining about this and that. We've got to wake up, folks. We're in it together. We are a team. This is about the New Brunswick public schools. We're all part of that. We want parents to come out, but to come out and think that you're going to change schools by speaking at a board meeting, no, we want to hear the letters. The superintendent wants to know what's going on. If you don't feel welcome to the schools, we want to know about it, but not at the podium here. We need you to start writing some letters. We need you to talk to superintendents, to principals, to your teacher. Come to PTA meetings. Come when your students are being assessed and discussed. But there's a small group of people here that are doing what's going on in Florida, or trying to use politics so that they can get elected. We've got to wake up, because the educational system is not what it was 20 years ago. So it's up to us to make that change. It's up to you to make that change. It's up to the board to make that change. It's also important to understand what board does. We are a policy-making body. We make policy. We hire the superintendent. We're not here to micromanage. We're not here to say what's going on over here. And any board member that does that is overstepping their authority. So it's important to know that the board is policy-making. We will make policies based on what we hear from folks. We will talk to the superintendent when we hear things. But we are in this together. We love the kids. We know you love the students as well. So let's try to work together more, folks, instead of just coming up and trying to figure out ways to complain. Okay? Thank you. Item number 13, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. General.
Yes, abstaining C and D.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer. Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 14, the Finance Committee report. Mrs. Diana Solis.
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. The Finance Committee report was viewed by members of the Finance Committee along with members of the Board of Education, and I'd like to request the motion to approve as is.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno. Yes, I abstain on page 8 and 22. So noted. Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Yes, I abstain on page 26.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer. Yes, I have another. Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes. Item number 15, the resolution for closed session. I'll read the resolution and then we'll vote. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6, provides that certain matters of a public body may be discussed in closed session, and whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows: personnel matters, matters of attorney-client privilege. Now therefore be it resolved that the aforesaid subject shall be discussed in closed session by this Board of Education and administrative staff, and the minutes of said closed session discussion will be made available to the public when the reasons for the non-disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act no longer exist. Is there a motion? Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno. Yes. Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer. Okay. Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
We are in closed session.
Mándale su carta. Mándale su carta.